Hey everyone, welcome to Film Snobbery, coming at us from the USA Film Festival over in Dallas, Texas, I believe. We have the director of the new movie Out of Order, starring Brandon Routh. We have Guy Jacobson. How are you today?
Hi Nick, thank you for having me. I'm doing
Thank
great.
you. Hey, how are you enjoying the festival so far?
Well, believe it or not, I have not even made it to the festival yet. I had to make one intermediary stop. Our film was the opening night film at the Myrtle Beach International Film Festival last night. So I went and did the Q&A and am now on my way to Dallas to do the Q&A and the screening Saturday.
Fantastic. Well, congrats on that. I mean, it
Thank
sounds like
you.
you're definitely moving all over the place. I know you were at the Chelsea Film Festival. You've been all over the place. Now, doing Q&As, what are some of the more interesting questions from the audience that you tend to get?
So, the one of the most for me, I think the most interesting thing for me is to see the audience laughing, enjoying the film, that's the biggest compliment I think I can get as a filmmaker, right? That you sit and the audience doesn't know you're there and they are really enjoying it, and then they come and tell you afterwards, hey, that was great. We loved it. I think it's usually people ask me about how do you cast? We were very, very fortunate. We have an amazing cast. For a small indie film, that the cast is not proportional at all to our budget. Um, and I think so. That's will be one. I think that it's funny because a lot of people ask, what was the budget and how long
Yeah.
you filmed, and I'm sure that those are. I try to remember with all of my films, any festival. I think I literally got these questions everywhere.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that the questions of how when they go to how did you make this work, or what make you think of the idea, or make you, what why did you cast this particular actor, how well it worked, why did you envision them in it, because I think casting is so crucial for a film.
Yeah,
Then
absolutely. Especially for
people realize
comedy.
that especially comedy, and
Yeah.
especially this style of comedy that is, kind of the traditional, or the classic situational comedy. Think, My Cousin Vinny or Fish Named Wanda, where it's go beyond, oh, Brandon Routh is a very handsome guy and he's very charming. He can play the lead in romantic comedy.
Hmm.
And while Brandon Routh is a very handsome guy and very charming, he also can do physical comedy and play very tough dual role, that this film requires. So
Yeah.
putting these pieces together of, the puzzle of the cast and the chemistry and coordination between them, that's so hard.
Yeah, and I can imagine that getting all of that together on an indie budget is definitely difficult. Was it what was in a chicken and egg kind of situation? Which came first? Was it packaging the cast together to get to the budget you needed to get, or was it a you were able to get the production together and then the cast kind of just fell in your lap?
So we were able to get the budget together, based on the strength, I think, of the script, and so we were able to have the money, but we definitely then shot for the stars, and no pun intended, and said, let's try to make a film with some, recognizable names. And I think that once my what I told my casting director, who is fabulous, her name is Kate, and I told her, Kate, I said, Kate, you don't need to convince the actors to, or the agents to, just convince them to spend 10 minutes with me on the phone, read the script, hopefully, or speak with me first if that's what you prefer,
Hmm.
and let them hear what my vision is, how I would like to work with them specifically. Let me explain to them why I chose them to the film. It's not based on the name alone. There's a reason why.
Right.
And she got me on the phone with Brandon and some of the others, and we had a great conversation. And I was supposed to speak with Brandon for like 10 minutes, and 2 hours later he said, "You know what? I love it. Let's do it." So in that respect, I think it's my job as the director and
Mhm.
he writer director to present to the actors a vision that they will say, you know what, I love it. I want to be part of that. And I think that the part that they love the most is I told them, if you think it's my movie,
Mhm.
please don't do it. If you think it's our movie and we can make it together better than what I wrote, then let do it together. And
I love that. Yeah, because, a film is a collaborative environment and, inherently anyway. That's fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah, what now you've done in the past kind of more issue-driven documentaries and stuff like that, and now you've got a romantic comedy going on with Out of Order. What was the thing that kind of turned you from a documentarian into a narrative filmmaker?
So, to be honest, while I did a couple of documentaries, actually, one of my other films, Holly, is actually a full feature
Oh, yeah.
narrative drama, with some great cast like Virginie Ledoyen and the acclaimed French actress and Udo Kier
Oh,
and
that's
John
right.
Livingston and Chris Penn and so. Um, I think that I actually my writing style when I wrote, all of my books are kind of satire and aphorism and so on. So for me, comedies are actually come much more naturally than dramas. I'm naturally a smartass. All of my brain with age sipped into my ass, so I became an airhead and a smartass. But that's according to my doctor. It's a medical condition, and and uh, so. And this was kind of like my baby. I wrote the script. I used to be a lawyer, believe it or not, at some time in the past. So that idea of creating that kind of chaos in the courtroom and that whole, the attorney playing in against each other in two different law firms and on the same, representing both sides, led itself, I believe, to immense amount of fun moments and comedy and so on. So for me, I love films and the films such as My Cousin Vinny and There's Something About Mary and Mrs. Doubtfire, or go back to Jack Lemmon films, okay, even Cary Grant, like his Girl Friday,
Mhm.
that style of fun comedies that are based on the situation and the jokes and the acting and not being mean to anybody or politics or whatever it may be,
Mhm.
kind of much broader, was very appealing.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely it was pure comedy, and it's a pure situational comedy. It reminded me a lot of like the Jim Carrey Liar Liar kind of thing, and
Yeah.
or even some kind of to some degree like Looney Tunes, duck season, rabbit season, but where Bugs Bunny would dress up as Daffy Duck to fool him. It's like he's playing against himself kind of thing. It felt a lot like that. So. And it's interesting because you seem to be doing very well at film festivals, and I've also done a lot of film festivals around the country doing interviews like this and stuff like that over the last 17 years or so. And the interesting thing is that I have found that comedies have a hard time, traditionally speaking, unless it's short film. But like long form comedies have a difficult time at film festivals. Usually, they cater more to drama. Maybe you get a dramedy in there occasionally, or horror movies. Obviously, from the genre fests and stuff, they'll definitely do comedy horror that way. But to get something like this, it's kind of a nice breath of fresh air for me to see because it's nice to see comedy get its flowers at these festivals like that. Um, what has been your experience as you've been going around to these different festivals in terms of the general reception of the audiences? You've been saying you've been hearing laughs. That's a positive
Yeah.
one. So,
Absolutely. So first, I completely agree with you. I've been to many festivals with my other films in the past, and as you said, those are kind of issue driven or drama. That those are kind of much heavier subject matter.
Hmm.
And we never thought that this film will be a film festival film. And we were really, I mean, I don't want to say shocked because I mean, we thought that we ended up managing to come up with a pretty good film, but we got accepted to almost 70% of festivals we applied to.
Oh wow.
Which is, I mean,
Yeah.
it's literally unheard of, right? And then now, yesterday was the Myrtle Beach Film Festival, but we won at least one major award, sometimes two or three, in every single festival we've been in. We won best and across four continents, right? With very different demographics, and it's a
Yeah.
comedy, right? So saying the fact that this film make the audience in Japan, laugh and win best film, and make the audience in Australia laugh and win best film, and Toronto and Sweden and Turkey, and then East Coast, West Coast, Middle America. I mean, that's the biggest compliment anybody can give you as a filmmaker, right? That your film, played in four continents and did really well, but that the audiences love
Mhm.
it in and enjoy it and laugh in that tells us that hopefully there is some, you know, great market for the film to play. And I think part of it, I would like to believe, is the fact that this film is really, I mean, it's not divisive. It's not mean-spirited, right? The
Mhm.
humor is really, as I'm using your word, it's pure, right?
Yeah.
It's a fun film to sit and watch and forget, and we're not mean-spirited.
Yeah.
The whole family can sit and watch it,
Hmm.
So it play very broadly, and so but we're surprised how well it was received because it's from my experience in film festivals and generally, it's most films are definitely not comedies, does not play that well.
Yeah. And so I want to talk a little bit about the script because first of all, the movie's it's a very tight movie. I mean, 90 something minutes, like very, you kept it around that hour and a half, 90-ish minutes kind of thing, give or take credits,
Yeah.
which by the way, I enjoyed the outtakes and stuff on
Thank
on
you.
the end. That was very good. So I know you're credited as a co-writer with this with Megan Friels Johnson. And so how did that dynamic work?
So two things. First, in one of my back lives, I actually was an attorney, so that helped a lot with the script because I do know the subject matter I'm writing about, which I think is very, very important. That's why I can never write a good horror film, or maybe I can do it if I try to describe a couple of dates I went in. Those were horrific, but usually, there was no slashing of any kind involved. Um, so I think that helped with the idea and with the story and with making sure that things actually work out, right? That you go to the edge and you walk a very thin line, but you can make it work. And that meant that certain pieces of the story, of the dialogue, need to be there in order to make the story itself work.
Hmm.
What I also wanted to do in the script, and that Megan was a great partner to bring that out. If you think about the entire cast, all of the women in the cast are very accomplished, very well put together, while the guys are kind of screwballs and like don't have their act together yet.
Yeah.
And having, I think, Megan being, a female partner and help me strengthen a big chunk of that dynamic where,
Mhm.
Brooke is, a partner lawyer in a major film, and Sandra Bernhard is a judge, and Krysta Rodriguez is a double PhD scientist, and Tao Kamoto is a supermodel. The guys, you know,
They're
uh,
just trying their best.
they're doing their best. No, but that are kind of the dynamic that I wanted to have.
Hmm.
Even that role is we remove that it's it's the guys, and it's actually the you know the comedy is not based on any stereotypes and any, it's really is a fun film for the script. But Megan is a great partner, and we were able to throw ideas at and kind of be open to each other thoughts, and so that was very helpful.
Was it a lot of work? Were you working together on that in the same room a lot, or was it you just emailed the scripts back and forth to go and like, here are the changes I made? What do you think?
We did both.
Mhm.
Megan is on the West Coast, I'm on the East, so it's not that we could sit together the entire time, but we spent enough time together to make it work, and then conversation and delving deep into it. Then the other thing is that once we got the script together, I was also, and I told that to every one of my cast and everyone in my crew, going from the DP, who is a huge comedy lover, all the way to the NEPA. And I said, if you have an idea how we make this funnier, how to make it better, please tell me. And again, going to the for the actors, like let's improvise, let's play, let's make it much better than whatever Megan and I were able to write
Mhm.
together. And I think that is so appealing to the actors that you and to the cast or the crew, that you really do recognize that they have something to say, that they can contribute, and they made it so much better.
I think that's something like that is crucial too for a comedy because comedy is so in the moment and sticking to a script that moment mentally or it's like in the moment may not quite be there, but it just might take one little bit of punch up to get it over the edge. And or someone just going like, let me try this one line, like let me try reading it this way, or adding, just a little tag onto it. Yeah, I remember, you know my ex roommate was a stand up as well as an actor, and we would spend nights running lines at our apartment together. And he'd be like, "Well, let's do this." I'm like, I said, "There's the better way to put this here. Like, do it this way." And he's like, "That
Right.
is so much better," because you just couldn't find it. Also, because you're reading it so much over and over again.
Correct.
Like assuming any of your actors are like they're memorizing the lines, and they're going through their reads. And even with experience, I think sometimes over preparation kind of kicks in, or like that one line gets stuck in your head and you can't make it come out any other way until someone like jiggles it loose.
Yep. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's exactly was our process, and we were fortunate enough to be able to have enough takes that I'd say, and I told the actors, I said, there's certain words or lines that I do need in the dialogue in order to make the story itself work.
Hmm.
But once I know that I have what I need for the story to work, let's go crazy. Let's go. I got my baby back ribs moment. You know,
Let's get crazy. Let's get nuts. I
yeah, and
get
and
you.
and I think that it comes across. I hope and it makes it more fun for the actors. And I think the other thing in a film like that was really really important, that I worked very hard on, is focusing on the chemistry and of the relationship between the actors, right? Because if Sam Huntington and Brandon Routh were not best friends in real life too, and it comes across that they like each other and do everything for each other, and if they actually hated each other, the chemistry,
Yeah.
it will not come across, if so. I literally spent a lot of time with the cast, and I said, we started on a Sunday where nobody was by contract had to be there. I told them, my wife is used to be a chef in a two Michelin star restaurant, so we have a small 6,000 bottle wine collection. How about come over for dinner from wherever you are flying? Emily, my wife, will cook based on your dietary needs. We'll open some good bottles of wine. Let's not talk about the film. Get to know each other, and hopefully get to like each other. Get to care enough about each other that you want them to succeed. And we kind of try to build that. So the relationship with Brandon and Tao will work, and the relationship with, Brandon and Krista will work, and that kind of the chemistry you can't fake.
Yeah,
Either
I
they
agree.
have it and they or you can't. And it's very hard. And it's go beyond the line. It's the feeling, right? You watch Brandon and Sam, and this banter and the pace of the banter is something that you need to build, and it's not just the line.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, they have that old college buddy like back and forth.
yeah.
The banter was really good. I really enjoyed that.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. And you're right. Yeah, that's it's not something you can fake. I want to take it down to kind of the business of this. You've been filmmaking now for a while, and it has not gotten easier. I mean,
Oh, it does
I
not.
remember I at one point worked at the studio level out in LA, and then it just became too expensive, and so we ended up moving out, my wife and I, and I miss it, believe me. Instead, this is what I'm relegated to, but I get to speak with great people like yourself. So,
Thank
um,
you.
you're welcome. So, how do you keep it going? Like, what is the thing that, aside from just pure passion, obviously, I think that's the thing that gets you up in the morning, but what is the secret to having a long career in this business?
Wow. Next is going to ask me where did I hit the fountain of youth and some of those other
Oh, I'm pretty sure it's
good
somewhere in that
secrets.
that wine collection. Uh,
That's probably it. I'm preserved in alcohol from within. Uh, no, so I think that it's something that I really, really enjoy, right? And I would like to believe that I have something to say and a way to say it that it's worth saying, whether it's said a drama like Holly or documentary like Red Light or a fun film like Out of Order. I think that after this film, I'm considering a couple of the next projects, and I think that they that three that right now are in the front burner are miniseries. I think that the film industry is going through major transition, and I don't think that anybody, including us in the industry, knows where exactly it will land.
yeah,
So maybe a bit different format of contact. A content is right now could be very interesting for me to try, take a suspense thriller, kind of I write in the style of not at the level or in any way, shape, or form, but the style. If you think of The Usual Suspects or David Mamet, the Spanish prisoner, that you think you know what is going on, but then you turn out everything you think was going on is completely actually something different was happening. And that for me is a very, very challenging way to write because every word you write needs to work both in the story you initially think you're following, but then
yeah,
in the story that was actually taking place. So
yeah.
challenging yourself to myself or to do things that are a bit harder, a bit more, I don't want to say interesting, but interesting to me,
Right.
makes it fun.
Well, yeah, I think that challenging yourself in keeping yourself on your own toes is kind of really important. I just had a couple of stories published that were Sherlock Holmes based, so
Oh,
I understand.
congratulations.
Thank you. So I understand that whole idea of, you write a mystery or you write this thing and everything has to not only work to be a satisfying ending, but it has to make sense going backwards through the rest of the story.
Yeah.
And, it was a nice challenge to do it not only once, I had to do it twice because I didn't know, number one, that I was accepted to do it. Like I got a call or an email like within the month. He goes, "Oh, just to let it was to all the authors. It was an anthology." And he goes, "Just let all the authors know that your manuscripts are due at the end of the month." And I was like, "I didn't know I had been selected. So I have to start writing." And then I started writing and I got one done. He goes, "Great. Now you have your other one, right?" And I'm like, "What do you mean my other one?" And he goes, "Oh, you were doing 1880." They went by years,
I see.
1889 and 1890 in chronology of like Sherlock Holmes' career. And I was like, "Oh, I didn't realize I had the second one too." He goes, "Yep." I'm like, "Okay, so that was a week of my life of just frantically trying to figure out the best way to present a mystery. And I love stuff like that. And I love like 48-hour filmmaking challenges that also, have filmmakers kind of like, all right, we have to come up with it, we have to shoot it, we have to edit it, we have to get it out. I had a buddy of mine that just finished one of those, and he had a great time doing it. I think that methodology kind of stays true to what, independent spirit is about in doing all of this. I think it also helps you be prepared for those changes in the industry because you know how you have this thing you can fall back on where you can adapt,
Yep,
and learn how to
absolutely.
learn.
Yeah.
In
By the way,
between.
Nick, on a separate note, I would love to read the book.
Oh
Emil,
yeah.
I would really love to read it. That's my style. So Sherlock Holmes is
It was very fun to write, and it was a good education too, because it's historical fiction.
like,
So everything had to be accurate at the same time. It was a pleasure to do. Um, so let's talk about Brandon Routh. You got him on obviously as your leading man in this. You also got him on as a producer. How did that kick in?
I think that that's something that allowed us to structure the deal that was more appealing to him and show him that I actually really mean it when I said it's not my film, it's our film.
Mhm.
To put my quote unquote everything where my mouth is, right? Is saying, no, you really are a partner in this project. And I'm not saying that to convince you that you need to just act in it. I really want you to be a partner in it. So that was a nice added bonus if
No, it's taking ownership of the project that you're working on.
correct.
It puts a little bit more. It doesn't necessarily up the stakes any if you're going to be in it anyway, but it gives you that more sense of like, if I do a good job, I'm going to not just be monetarily rewarded, but also like the reward of I'm doing a good job for everybody. It's this again going back to collective effort and the way that films are done. I know we only have a couple minutes left. It was so fantastic to have a quick chat with you, and I wish you luck at getting to your next festival.
Thank you, sir.
And I hope the audiences continue to be kind for you and to you and to the movie. And I want to just say, hopefully everyone checks out of Order.
And Nick, thank you so much for taking the time. It's really been my pleasure.
No, thank you very much, and hopefully we'll talk more in the future. And I'll send the book details over to Annie so she can pass them on over to you, the Sherlock Holmes ones.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you very much for your time.
Fantastic. Have a good one.